and let's do it. Hey. Hey guys, and welcome to the very first episode of Crash Talk.
Hooray!
Wow. It's honestly a little bit embarrassing how embarrassed I am to be recording this. I haven't talked to a camera in a while. And you might be saying, Ayana, did you have a YouTube channel when you were younger? Why are you talking about a minor? So on this channel, I want to just talk about film, talk about media, talk about the silly, goofy things. It's called Crash Talk. You might not even need to have an explanation of why, but I just feel like the world could use a little bit of silly, goofy energy, and if not the world, then definitely myself, and we're just here to have a little bit of fun, innit? We're here to have a little bit of fun, so let's have fun! For today's video, we're going to be talking about another first, aka The First Time by Jonathan Kasdan, starring Britt Robertson and Dylan O'Brien. Yes, we are going into the 2010s to 17-ish teen films. If you know me, you know that the person that I am today, the person that's sitting in front of you right now, would not be where she was without the 2010s teen films. I was that dystopian girl. Did I have my wall plastered and Hunger Games posters? I did. I speak it fluently, actually, in fact. So I just figured there's nothing more appropriate than starting out this channel with a discussion of one of such teen films. So this movie, as I mentioned, it came out in 2012. It stars Britt Robertson and Dylan O'Brien. This was during the era of teen content where they tried to pretend that Dylan O'Brien was not a dateable individual. You will be hearing from my lawyer on that one. Yeah. So this film takes place over a weekend where Dave, aka Dylan O'Brien's character, and Aubrey, aka Britt Robertson's character, fall in love. Fall in love. They meet serendipitously, and they have this sort of like whirlwind romance. It is also a film about, how do you say, boinking? Sexy times, if you will. Hence the title, The First Time. The crowd did boo at that one. They did. So the film kicks off with Dave in an alley at a party, talking to himself, reading this sort of love letter, essentially, that he has written to his best friend Jane, because he's going to confess his feelings to her. And Aubrey comes out and she's like, hey, bestie, like, you good? And after he's thoroughly embarrassed, they get to chatting. And I think that this is a good time to mention some of the important things to know about the characters in this film. One, Dave, he is truly just some guy, TM. Like, I cannot express how much he is literally just some guy. And Aubrey is queen of not like the other girls. Like, she invented it, she patented it, trademarked it, it's got her stamp all over it. But very much, I hate romance, I hate PDA, I hate Facebook, I have bangs. That is who she is as an individual. So back to the film. They're talking, and the cops come and they break up the party. Everybody scatters. So what does Aubrey, queen of not like the other girls, do? The only logical conclusion, invite Dave back to her house. Well, yes. To be fair, she does technically just invite him to walk her back to her house, but if I had met some random dude at a party, in an alley at a party, no less, it perhaps would not be my very first instinct to invite him back to my house, but that's just me. And maybe, the Dylan O'Brien factor, right? We haven't factored that in. If said man looked and or was Dylan O'Brien, maybe the survivor instincts take a back seat.
Child. Anyway, so.
And as they're walking, this random car full of guys pulls up next to them, and, they're chatting. They're like, oh, where are the parties at? Right. You could tell that I was cool in high school. They're like, oh, where are the parties at? And also like, you two, Dave and Aubrey, you're so cute. Oh my gosh, y'all want to party with us? And they're like, no thanks. And then they drive away. I watched that scene for the first time and I was like, okay, cute little throwaway. Like, it starts insinuating that the two of them, you know, have something going on. I thought that was it. I need you to keep that car in mind because for some reason it's important to the plot and it comes back later. So just file that away in the back of your mind. So they get to Aubrey's house, and despite the fact that earlier she had in fact mentioned that she did have a boyfriend, she did. She invites this man into her house, and not only that, but she proceeds to wine and dine him, which, like, girl's got game. Like, I don't know what kind of Riz level you're on, but clearly none of us are on her level, okay? None of us. Because she starts yapping about whatever, and they get into this crazy conversation, very early 2000s, of like girls that you sleep with versus girls that you date. Brother, the crowd booed. At some point, she also asks this man whether or not she's giving girl that you sleep with or girl that you date, which is just so much going on. And they fall asleep cuddling. Oh, yeah. So they wake up in the morning and, you know, they're cute, they're all cuddled up, but oh no, her mom's at the door. Dave needs to go. So he hops off the roof. And Dylan O'Brien being on a roof just feels very Scott McCall coded. Anybody on a roof, a young man leaving a girl's house from being on the roof, just feels very Scott McCall coded. If you know, you know. So after he leaves her house, he's like, man, you know, I guess that was just the way that it is, an ephemeral experience. I'll never see her again. It's 2012. His friends are like, you can just find her in the school directory. Actually, he first tries to find her in the phone book, which is hilarious to me because that's very 2012. But I digress. So later in the film, actually, let's pause before I move on just to talk about his friends for a second. They're supposed to be incredibly like loser coded, but they're also friends with hot girls, which leads into the next scene that I'm going to talk about, which is them going to the cinema and where we get introduced to Queen of the Universe, Jane, aka Victoria Justice. Love her, actually. She might be one of my favorite characters in this film. Her personality is very, I'm pretty and boys like me, and like, I just can relate. No, I just really think that that is the role that Victoria Justice like deserves to play. Like, yes, it's Victoria Justice, and she ate it up. So at the cinema, you know, Dave's there. Aubrey, not like the other girls, is there with her boyfriend, Ronnie, who is instantly unlikable. Like, crusty, dusty, musty. Say it with me. Crusty, dusty, musty. One more time. Crusty, dusty, musty. Okay? Cannot be emphasized enough. We, at some point in the film, get a dirty foot shot from this man. And I'm not even putting that here because I didn't deserve to see that and you don't deserve to see that. Okay? You're welcome. And I really do believe that the reason why they're like he's kind of weird, and you get that sense right off the bat, is because obviously, you know, he's the character that's in between the two main characters who are supposed to be the two leads. But also, like, he's an older dude, presumably someone in college who's dating a junior in high school. And I just have never had the impetus to date someone who was 17 years old when I was in college. So, you know, you live, you laugh, you love. The cinema scene overall is mostly unimportant, save for the fact that we get kind of an insane monologue from Aubrey, who's like, I want to travel. And Dave's like, I'll go. And honestly, it is the monologue that did make me want to keep a monologue tracker for this film, because I like got the feeling that I was watching an insane number of monologues as I was watching it. Like every 3 seconds, I was like, oh, someone's going on a monologue, which just is not a similar feel to that I get to a lot of media. So I did keep track. It was 10 monologues in about an hour and a half. So do with that information what you will. So now we're at a friend of Jane's. Dave invited, Aubrey and Krusty Musty Dusty to hit this house for a party, or a little kickback. We also get a scene of Jane, aka Victoria Justice, aka I think we all sing, with a half empty whiskey bottle. But girl, ain't nobody was believing that you took even a sip of that, girl. But you tried. So it is what it is. And we also get another boinking conversation, following along in the tradition of boinking conversations. In this conversation, it's Ronnie and Dave, and Ronnie's like, gonna boink my girl later in my crusty, musty, dusty van. And Dave's like, wow, Jesus Christ, could you think about not doing that? And so thus proceeds into another boinking conversation, in which case Dave is like, no, Aubrey, like, don't have sexy times with this man. You're so hot. And Aubrey's like, well, I have his test results and he's clean. And also I want to get it over with. So that happens. Aubrey and Ronnie leave, and Dave is like, wow, I really missed my chance. I thought she liked me. She does, which we find out 3 seconds later when she texts him and is like, come pick me up from my house. I don't know why I keep sounding like that when I'm pretending to be here. I just feel like that's what she sounds like in my head. So Dave goes and picks Aubrey up. She's like, I broke up with Ronnie. And he's like, slay, say less. So they drive, she's holding Dave's hand, kissing all on his hand. And hey, you in the back, I hear you. Ayana, don't you wish that were you? Shut the fuck up. Shut up. You're pissing me off. Yeah. Hey, remember how I said that car earlier was going to be important to the plot? This is where it comes back in. They're driving, and as they're driving, they see a car totaled on the side of the road, and they're like, shit, it's the car that we saw earlier, or I guess yesterday. It's the car that we saw yesterday with those guys. And, Aubrey's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe the blink of an eye of time that we're here on this earth together. And they pull over because Aubrey's like, I'm going to be sick. And after having a little teen existentialism moment together, they kiss. Well, yes. So kids, if you're ever having trouble trying to figure out how to secure your first kiss, just talk about fatality. You know what I mean? After this point, the two of them are basically together, and it's cute. Aubrey is in her room, kicking her feet, giggling, thinking about Dave, and I'm like, you know what, Your Honor, like, she's just a girl. And we do also get to see Dave with his little sister Stella, and, Dylan around with a young child. It's just really good for the universe, I think. And at some point, of course, we're going to roundabout back to boinking. So the opportunity comes when Aubrey's parents are going to some gala, and she's like, hey, boyfie, that may or may not actually be my boyfie at this point. I don't ever think they actually clarified, and I met you like literally 2 days ago and just broke up with my boyfriend who I'd presumably been dating for longer, but like you're cuter and, less crusty, messy, dusty, and I don't want to blink in a van, so how about you come over to my house? And so he does. And once he's over, he brings this gift of old magazines for Aubrey to cut up to make art, because remember, she's not like the other girls. And honestly, very sweet gift. She also calls him ridiculous in that moment, which, like, if you know me, which, like, hopefully you want to get to know me, I have an intergalactic, just all-encompassing romantic theory about calling someone ridiculous. Like, I just think that there's very few things that's as romantic or as like you love, like as like you love me, you want to get in my pants, as calling me ridiculous. I should have further thoughts about that, but I don't. I've thought this through, I promise. So they get to boinkin'. They make out and then they boink. And it is honestly like perhaps one of the most awkward scenes of the film. But here's my thing. it's kind of what the whole film is about. It's kind of the climax, if you will.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I will say, despite the fact that it's awkward, I kind of don't mind because it makes sense to me. It's two teens experiencing physical intimacy, not only for, like, with each other for the first time, but for the first time ever. So the fact that it's, like, weird and uncomfortable, like, makes sense. And I think the film actually gets that across in, like, a really good way for teens. I will say that the 2 to 3 minute scene of Dylan O'Brien, aka Dave, trying to put on a condom was unnecessary, though. It was unnecessary. I'm going to have to dock points from the essay for that. But they boink and they finish and they're like, ooh, ooh, that was weird. Like really weird, like uncomfortable. And for those reasons, I'm out. And they break off. I was about to say the engagement. They part ways, if you will. Would that be my first conclusion after having awkward, sexy times? Perhaps no in this situation, because it's like, this is your first time. I feel like I'd be like, well, this is my first time, and I think it's just going to be awkward. So, like, it was awkward, but I like this person, so we'll figure it out. They're like, I guess that we're not meant to be together. I guess that it's not meant to be, you know, because we don't fit together. You don't know what you're doing. It's essentially a new skill. Like, give some grace, have some patience, you know? You're not Casanova right now, but they part ways. Dave goes to his friends and is like, guess it wasn't meant to be, part 2. And his friends are like, can you chill out? We actually get a really great monologue from one of his friends who's called Big Corporation. Yeah. And who's also an actor that is in Glee eventually, where he tells Dave to be a man. And no, not a man like, you know, being a dick, but like be a man, communicate, which slay, kind of ate that up. So, you know, while Dave is having this conversation with his friends after, Aubrey wakes up in the morning the next morning and calls herself a sleut in the mirror, and then goes downstairs and hugs her parents. So, you know, very different ways of coping. And she's like, oh, you know, I ruined this, like, this is never going to happen with me and this man. It will, because it's a romance movie. Also because he's standing outside of your house. He's standing outside of your house waiting to speak to you, Miss Ma'am. So they chat. Dave's like, I want to continue this conversation with you. Okay, communication foregrounded. I'm eating it up. Dave takes Aubrey to school. She puts a mix on that she makes for him. It's very cute, very not like the other girls. You know how she is. And after they chat, they're like, you know what? Let's do this. Let's work on the communication and the sexy times. Great. Everything's solved. They get to school. Aubrey gets dropped off. She's like walking away, and then she's like, no. And she turns around. She runs back. She kisses Dave. Fade to black. The movie's over.
Hooray!
And that's it. So it's kind of a wild ride. Overall thoughts of the film. It's cute. Like, it's a cute movie. Like, I am a big fan. I guess chick flicks, you know, the 90-minute, lighthearted, like, all-encompassing film. I love it. I think it's fun. And, you know, if you're looking for something that's not going to be just, like, all of your brain capacity to try and think through or have deep thoughts about, The First Time is a great film. I will also say it is perhaps some of the most that I have cringed at a movie in quite a while. Yes. And one might ask, right? Is the cringe a result of the characters in the story, right? Just a natural result of being a teen and awkward phases and all that kind of stuff? Or is it just the film itself? Chicken or the egg? One might purport. I'll let you decide. It's on YouTube free with ads, so you can watch it for yourself. But other than that, like, it's just a cute little good time, and I thought it was a pretty lighthearted one to start this little chan. So, if you enjoyed, maybe think about sticking around. How many times can I tuck my hair that's already tucked back behind my ear? One more. maybe think about sticking around, you know. I feel like it's so weird to say like give this video a like or comment, but I do genuinely want to hear your thoughts. If you've seen this movie, if you didn't realize that you had seen this movie until you listened to me talk about it and you were like, oh shit, I think I've seen that, let me know. If you have any other thoughts, any other things that you want me to chit chat about, I have lots of ideas. So I'm going to be taking this silly, fun, goofy journey. And if you want to come hang out with me and take this silly, fun, goofy journey with me, feel free to. No pressure though. That's it for today. I will see you next time. Bye.